For nearly half a century, it sat in silence. A garage in the Hollywood Hills, sealed tight, untouched, and wrapped in mystery. No one dared to open it. No one knew what secrets it carried. Until now, when the doors were finally unlatched, the dust of decades poured out, revealing a frozen world inside. A time capsule belonging to one of Hollywood's greatest legends, Moe Howard of the Three Stooges. But why was it locked away for so long? And what exactly was hidden inside? The answers are more surprising than anyone ever imagined, and to understand why this garage mattered so much, you first need to know the man behind the mystery. Born Moses Harry Horwitz in Brooklyn, 1897, Moe Howard didn't come from wealth or glamour. He came from a working-class family with a restless dream, the dream to entertain. He dropped out of school early, not out of rebellion, but to chase the stage. For years, Moe lived on scraps, taking small vaudeville jobs, struggling to find footing in a brutal industry. But fate had a plan. Teaming up with Ted Healy, then later with his brother Shemp and the irreplaceable Larry Fine, Moe helped create what would become one of the most legendary comedy groups in history, the Three Stooges. Moe wasn't just another stooge, he was the glue, the boss, the sharp-eyed leader who turned slapstick chaos into perfectly timed art. While Curly and Larry stole laughs with antics, Moe delivered the famous eye pokes and head slaps with ruthless precision. Audiences roared with laughter, but behind the scenes, life wasn't as funny. The Stooges were underpaid, undervalued, and tricked by studios that made millions off their work. They earned no royalties. Every rerun, every repackaged short that played endlessly on TV, they saw nothing. So Moe did what any survivor would do. He planned carefully, invested wisely, and lived modestly. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't reckless, he was determined to protect his family and his legacy. And that mindset may explain why his garage became a sealed vault of secrets. In the 1960s, Moe and his wife, Helen, settled into a home on Thrasher Avenue in the Hollywood Hills. A single-story modern house tucked away on a quiet street with 3 bedrooms, a pool, and enough privacy to keep the spotlight at bay. But behind that home sat a garage no one ever talked about. When Moe passed away in 1975, something strange happened. That garage was sealed. Some say Moe himself asked for it before he died. Others say Helen, devastated by grief, locked it to protect what was inside. Whatever the truth, the result was the same. For nearly 50 years, no one dared to touch it. Neighbors whispered, collectors speculated, but the doors remained closed until someone finally turned the key, and what they saw when the dust cleared was beyond belief. The day the lock finally turned was unlike any other. With a loud metallic click, the door creaked open, releasing a storm of dust that hadn't been disturbed in nearly half a century. Light cut into the darkness for the first time since 1975, and the silence of the room seemed almost alive, like a secret whispering from the past. Inside, the air was dry, still, and eerily preserved. What lay ahead was not chaos, not decay, but order. Everything seemed untouched, frozen in time, exactly as Moe Howard had left it. The first thing that caught the eye: 2 shapes looming under faded cover cloths. Slowly, the fabric was peeled back, and the mystery began to unravel. It wasn't junk, it wasn't forgotten clutter, it was treasure. Sitting side by side were 2 Cadillacs, elegant machines that once carried Moe through the golden years of his life. The first, a 1952 Cadillac Series 62 sedan, a car that embodied post-war American luxury. Its chrome trim gleamed faintly under the dust, wide bench seats stretched across the interior, and under the hood, a powerful V8 engine still rested, waiting as if it could roar again at any moment. The second, a 1967 Cadillac Sedan DeVille, Moe's everyday car during his later years, longer, sleeker, with wraparound windows and leather seats. It told a different story, not of glamour, but of quiet dignity. Moe wasn't a man chasing flash. He wanted comfort, craftsmanship, and timeless style. The years of silence had preserved them like museum pieces. The leather hadn't cracked, the dashboards remained intact. Even the engines, though dusty, showed little sign of corrosion. The sealed garage had been their protector, but as remarkable as the cars were, they weren't the only treasures waiting in the shadows. Along the walls, neatly stacked, were rows of boxes, some marked, some unmarked, some sealed so tight it was clear they hadn't been touched in decades, and that's when the realization set in. This wasn't just a garage, it was a vault of Moe Howard's life, his career, his legacy, and what was inside those boxes. That would leave collectors and fans stunned. The Cadillacs alone would have been enough to amaze anyone, but the real story was waiting just beyond them, in the boxes. Stacked high against the walls, They weren't the kind of boxes you'd find in a typical garage filled with tools or holiday decorations. These were deliberate, almost archival in their precision. Some were wooden crates, others were sturdy cardboard sealed with thick tape. A few bore labels written in fading ink, while many had no markings at all. Just blank mysteries daring someone to open them. When the lids were lifted, the past came spilling out. Inside there were artifacts of Moe Howard's life. Personal, professional, and historic. Every box seemed to tell a different chapter of his journey. One held Moe's Columbia Pictures identification card from 1942, a simple piece of laminated paper, yet priceless to collectors. It was more than just a studio pass. It was proof of Moe's presence during the very height of the Stooges' career. When it later surfaced at auction, it sold for nearly $12,000. Another box revealed something even more intimate, a handwritten outline for the classic Stooges' short punch drunks. The yellowing pages carried pencil marks, one-liners, and notes scribbled in Moe's own hand. Fans had always known Moe was the strict leader on screen, but here was proof that he was also deeply involved in shaping the comedy itself. That outline later fetched close to $10,000 at auction. Not just for its rarity, but because it gave a glimpse into Moe's mind, and the discoveries kept coming. A framed check from 1971, signed by Moe himself, preserved alongside a photograph of him with Larry and Curly. To most, it might look like an ordinary bank slip, but to collectors, it was a direct connection to Moe's private world, a tangible piece of his everyday life. There was also his Screen Actors Guild membership card from November 1974, signed in blue ink just months before his passing. Again, an item so ordinary in life yet priceless in death. But it wasn't just paperwork. Among the boxes were posters, lobby cards, and film publicity materials from Stooge classics like Uncivil Warriors, 1935, and Calling All Curs, 1939. Protected from light and time, they looked almost brand new. One of those posters alone carried an auction estimate of $30,000. Then came the personal treasures, letters to Helen, notes to his daughter Joan, and even poems Moe had written in his later years. Some were drafts of his autobiography, pages filled with raw reflections on aging, fame, and family. These weren't meant for the stage. They were Moe's private thoughts, the man behind the slapstick mask. Even more astonishing, there were home movie reels, family photo albums, and autograph displays signed by Moe and Curly together. Each one offered a rare intimacy, the kind of connection fans had only dreamed of. Piece by piece, the boxes revealed not just the career of a comedian, but the soul of a man who had spent his life making others laugh, while quietly protecting the fragments of his own story. But as remarkable as the finds were, one question still lingered. Why did Moe, or his family, seal it all away? The discoveries inside Moe Howard's garage were breathtaking, but they led to one haunting question. Why had this treasure trove been hidden away for nearly half a century? Some believe the answer lies with Moe himself. In the final years of his life, Moe was no longer the face on the big screen. He was a man winding down, reflecting on decades of hard work and decades of unfair treatment. He and the other Stooges had given Columbia Pictures millions in profits, yet they themselves saw little in return. They received no residuals, no royalties. Every rerun of their beloved shorts, every laugh they brought to children and families across America, earned them nothing. Fans on forums and Reddit often voiced the same frustration. The Stooges were legends, yet lived modestly. For Moe, his possessions weren't just keepsakes, they were the proof of his life's work. Protecting them may have been his way of preserving dignity in a business that often stripped it away. Family accounts suggest that Moe may have asked for the garage to be sealed before his death in May 1975. If true, it would mean he wanted his legacy preserved in silence, untouched by prying eyes or greedy collectors. Others argue it was Helen, his wife, who sealed the garage after his passing. Grieving, she may have wanted to shield Moe's belongings from disturbance, a shrine of sorts where memories could remain safe. When she died only months later, in October of that same year, the garage was left untouched. Over the decades, the house itself changed owners, yet the garage remained closed. Some owners admitted they were simply too respectful, or too superstitious to break the seal. Others never even realized what was locked away, but maybe the truth is even simpler. Maybe the garage was never sealed for mystery's sake at all. Perhaps it was just forgotten, lost in the shuffle of time, until chance finally forced its doors open. Whatever the reason, that garage became something more than storage. To fans, it became a time capsule, a hidden shrine, a vault holding the soul of a man who had given laughter to millions. And when it was finally opened, it wasn't just the items inside that spoke volumes. It was what those items meant to Moe, to his family, and to generations of fans. When news broke that Moe Howard's garage had finally been opened, the reaction was immediate and emotional. For longtime fans of the Three Stooges, this wasn't just about cars or memorabilia. It was about reconnecting with a man who had shaped their childhoods, a man who had been part of the soundtrack of their laughter for decades. Online forums lit up, on Reddit and fan boards, comments poured in. Some celebrated the discovery, calling it a gift from the past. Others felt bittersweet, noting how unfairly Moe and the Stooges had been treated by Hollywood, with so little financial reward despite their massive success. Many described the garage as a crypt of comedy history, preserved by accident or by design, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. Collectors, meanwhile, saw dollar signs. Auctions featuring items from the garage drew intense bidding wars. Moe's signed checks, handwritten notes, and vintage posters went for thousands, sometimes tens of thousands. But even as the numbers climbed, fans reminded each other, these weren't just objects, they were fragments of a life. One fan put it best, Moe didn't keep these things for money. He kept them because they were his, because they told his story. And now, finally, we get to see that story. Others speculated that Moe's decision to preserve so much wasn't about nostalgia, but about control. In an industry that had taken advantage of him and his brothers, Moe may have sealed his garage as a final act of defiance, a way to say, this is mine, and it will stay mine until the world is ready to understand its value. Whatever the motive, the emotional impact was undeniable. For some, it felt like Moe himself had reached across time, offering one last laugh, one last connection. The sealed garage had transformed from a forgotten space into a shrine, a reminder of the man who wasn't just a stooge, but the beating heart of the trio. Decades may have passed since Moe Howard's final curtain call, but his legacy hasn't dimmed. If anything, the discovery of his sealed garage reignited the fire. Today, Moe isn't remembered just as the gruff leader of the Three Stooges. He's celebrated as the visionary who held the trio together through decades of ups and downs. He was the backbone, the man who turned slapstick into timeless comedy and laughter into medicine for generations. Nowhere is that legacy more alive than in Stoogum, a museum in Ambler, Pennsylvania, dedicated entirely to the Three Stooges. Spread across 3 full floors, it houses more than 100,000 Stooge-related artifacts, from costumes and scripts to rare collectibles and even personal belongings. Visitors can step into a small theater that screens classic shorts, reliving the exact laughter that once echoed through living rooms across America. For fans, the Stoogum is more than a museum. It's a pilgrimage site, a place to laugh, cry, and remember. Annual events and fan gatherings keep the community alive as collectors, historians, and ordinary families come together to celebrate the trio that made hard times bearable with just a pie in the face and a well-timed slap. And in July 2025, Moe's memory was honored in a way that touched fans worldwide. A historic Howard family reunion brought together descendants of Moe, Curly, and Shemp for the very first time in public. Held near Los Angeles, the event wasn't just about nostalgia, it was about passing the torch to younger generations. Stories were shared, speeches given, and a heartfelt tribute was made to the original Stooges. For many in attendance, it felt like Moe himself was there in spirit, bowl cut, scowl, and all. The reunion was a powerful reminder that while the laughter may have started on black and white film reels, its echo has no end. Moe's garage may have been sealed, but his influence was never locked away. His comedy still plays in homes around the world. His name still brings smiles. And his story, especially now with the unveiling of his hidden treasures, continues to inspire. The dust has settled. The doors have closed again, and yet the image of Moe Howard's garage lingers like a scene from a film we can't forget. What was once just a sealed room in the Hollywood Hills turned out to be far more than storage. It was a time capsule, a vault, a shrine. Inside sat the Cadillacs that once carried Moe through the streets of Los Angeles, the posters that once lured audiences to the theater, the handwritten notes that once sparked laughter heard across the world, and tucked away between the reels, letters, and faded photographs, the pieces of a man who lived modestly, but gave extravagantly through the gift of comedy. For nearly 50 years, those items waited in silence, not for fame, not for money, but for the moment when the world would once again stop, look back, and remember. And now we do. Moe Howard was more than a stooge. He was more than the sharp-eyed boss delivering slaps and pokes on screen. He was a father, a husband, a man who fought against the odds of an industry that too often undervalued him. A man who believed laughter could carry people through the darkest of times. Perhaps the sealed garage was his final joke. One last surprise waiting to be revealed decades later when the world needed to smile again. Because in the end, Moe Howard's true legacy wasn't cars or collectibles. It wasn't the sealed garage or even the films that studios once undervalued. His legacy was laughter, the kind of laughter that brings people together, that survives generations, that makes life just a little easier to bear. And now, with the mystery finally uncovered, Moe's story feels complete yet eternal. If this story got your heart racing, imagine what's coming next. Hit subscribe and stay in the loop, only on Hollywood Pulse News, where the drama never sleeps.